Hello guys, welcome back to our channel Help Elena. We are here again on the last push strategy of life orientation common assessment task for the year of 2023. We are writing our final examination next week, if I'm not mistaken, on the 5th of September, no, on the 4th of September. Now, we are going to sit for our last examination. You are not going to see life orientation ever again. Let's move to the next slide and see what our last push strategy has for us. Next slide. Life orientation, the countdown to the final examination has started. Here are some helpful hints that you can use for your exam. Let's look at the next slide. Introduction. Sitting for any examination or test may lead to stress. However, with sufficient preparation beforehand, you should be in a position to reduce the stress and do well in your exams. With the life orientation card upon us, this presentation serves to save the stress and guide you as you do your final preparations. Therefore, you will be provided with the following: the general tips, the exam writing tips, and the overview of the content. Please do not stress. Let's move to the next slide. Before you start with your exam, do the following. Check the cover page of your question paper to ensure that you have the correct one. Check the number of pages and make sure that it corresponds with those indicated on the front page. For 2023, you will notice that the following: the life orientation card is out of 100, and the duration of the question paper is 2 hours and 30 minutes. Let's move to the next slide. Read the instruction carefully. There are 3 sections. Section A, which is compulsory. Section B, which is also compulsory. Section C, that has 2 essays. You must only answer 5 questions in total. Each question carries 20 marks. Thus, it's 5 marks times 20 marks. It is equals to 100. I'm going to repeat this again. You must only answer 5 questions in total. Each question carries 20 marks. Thus, it is 5 questions times 20, which is equals to 100. If you answer all the 6 questions, the last question that you answered in section C, it will be cancelled. Write neatly and legibly. It will be to your benefit. I'm going to the next column. Therefore, the duration of the paper is 2 hours and 30 minutes. You can divide your time as follows. Question 1, which is 30 minutes. Question 2, also 30 minutes. Question 3, also 30 minutes. And then you have section C for 2 essays. Question for essay 1 is 30, and then question essay for essay 2 is 30 marks. In totality, it's 2 hours and 30 minutes. Let's move to the next slide. Now we are on general tips. All 6 major topics in life orientation will be assessed. The subtopics will be assessed in an integrated fashion. Therefore, all the content covered for Term 1, Term 2, and Term 3 must be covered. This means you must study everything that you have done with your teacher for Term 1, Term 2, and Term 3. Don't choose what you can study, but you need to study everything that you have done with your teacher. These are the 6 major topics of life orientation. And also don't forget to go to grade 10 and grade 12 and visit the content, right, which it is going to calculate 10% of your exam, right? And 10% question of physical education will be included in the life orientation kit. Therefore, you ensure that you revise some of the grade 10 and grade 11 content, as well as the question on physical and education, as I have said before. Make sure that you visit grade 10 and grade 11 textbook. Let's go to the next slide. And how will the content be assessed? You may be required to, number one, give back information as it was taught. Regurgitate. When you regurgitate, it means that you are giving a repetition of information without analyzing. You are giving information, or you are repeating information without analyzing. That is why they are saying give back information as it was taught in class. Number two, discuss. You are going to describe, you are going to assess, recommend, evaluate, advise, solve, or analyze an issue. Number three, you are going to apply the knowledge to solve the problem. Because of the integrated nature of the questions, you are required to go through all the content and not to overlook any of the content or to classify it as being too easy. There are 6 topics. Make sure that you go through all of them. Next slide. Well, we're looking at the previous question papers for life orientation kit. What about them? The previous life orientation kit papers should be used as exemplars of how the questions are examined. Please do not spot questions using the previous question papers. The questions will never be repeated word for word. However, the structure of the questions and the topics may be repeated. Thus, it is helpful to go through the past LO CAT question papers. However, they will not adequately prepare you for the examination. Going through the content well, meaning that you have to go through the content that you have done in class with your teachers. You don't have to rely only on the question papers. Bullet number 3, by spotting questions on certain topics, you could compromise yourself and struggle to answer all the questions. Refrain from this practice. The life orientation is set as a fresh assessment yearly and does not consider previous case studies or the scenarios, meaning the scenarios and case studies are going to be different from the previous ones. Each and every year, they change the scenarios and the case studies. Please do not concentrate too much on the case studies of the previous question papers. The next one, does the acquisition of the requisite content and the conceptual knowledge is the key. Please make sure that you go through your notes that you have your teacher provided and use your textbook. Let's move to the next slide. General tips. Remember that the life orientation is not a comprehension or a general knowledge test. It tests the knowledge, skills, and values as prescribed in the CAPS. Therefore, case studies and scenarios are only included to set or to create the context, but the questions will always assess the content taught in class. Last bullet. Also look at the cognitive complexity level of the questions. Questions will generally reflect lower, middle, and higher cognitive demand and may also be easy, moderate, and higher complexity difficulty demand. Let's move to the next slide. Understanding the common verbs. I want us to focus on this particular verbs. And then from here, I'm going to give you the previous question paper, whereby most learners, they struggle to answer the questions. So I'm going to give you how the question is set, and I'm going to give you how you're supposed to answer. I'm going to give you how you're supposed to answer the particular question. I want us to specifically look on, where's my highlighter? I want us to specifically look on this particular blog. Where's my highlighter? As I have said it in the previous slide, that I'm going to use a previous question paper to show you the types of the questions that it's consist on a high cognitive level. Right? I'm going to read the question 5 as follows. Read the extract below and answer the questions that follows. Collaboration, a digital interpersonal skill in this era. Verbal and non-verbal communication skills are important when having to collaborate. In this new digital era, the ability to collaborate and delegate are even more important in ensuring the success of group project. The questions are read as follows. Write paragraphs on collaboration as a conflict resolution skill. Use the following as a guideline. You are given a guideline to follow. Don't just write your answers. Please make sure that you follow this guideline, right? Bullet number 1. Learners, before you can be able to answer your questions, please make sure that you check the marks that are allocated per each questions. This is the other guideline that you can use to see how many points are you supposed to write on a particular question, right? Question number 1, bullet number 1, it says 4 marks, meaning it's 4 times 1, meaning you are required to give only 4 lines, right? It says state 4 reasons why it is important to consider a non-verbal communication within a team. Bullet number 2, how many marks? 8 marks. It's 2 times 4. Analyze. Here you are analyzing. Analyze how working from home in this new digital era may affect how you collaborate on a group project. And then the last one, evaluate the importance of delegating as a collaborative skill in teamwork. This is 8 marks. This means question 5, it has a lot of marks, right? You cannot afford to get lesser than 18 marks on this one. Let's move to the next slide and see how the strategy of answers supposed to look like. Just to look at how the structure of answers in your answer sheet should look like, right? I want you to look at how the marking is done and what is it expected of you when you answer your questions. I'm going to touch on the analyze and the evaluate answers, right? The one that says state 4 reasons, that one I think you guys can get it right either way. So let's look at the analyzing and the evaluating. Here it says, analyze how working from home in this new digital era may affect how you collaborate on a group project. This is the strategy of marking. Marks should be awarded as follows for us teachers. So I think it would be important as you for you as learners to know, to see how we mark, and then it will help you on how to strategize on your answering. 4 marks, it's supposed to be given to each well-explained response, and this is made for us teachers to be rewarded the full 4 marks. We need to do what you need to do, which is a candidate. Sorry about that. Candidates must give a statement, 1 mark for statement, collaborate on the statement, right? And then you have to qualify. The answer should qualify, and you're supposed to give an outcome. That is how the 4 marks is allocated. Now look at the example of the answer underneath. This is how the answer should look like. You may be able to work from home or anywhere in the world. Point number 1. which may still allow you to participate in a group project. Point number 2, ensuring that you may still meet the time frame for the different activities. Point 3, and still be able to compare your task within the stipulated time. That is 4 marks on 1 point, right? Meaning that you are able to write, they are expecting you, let me put it that way, they are expecting you to write 2 answers but have 4 points on each, on each answers to make it 8. Ne? And then point number 2, have limited opportunities to brainstorm with the team. Point number 1, which may negatively affect you if you strongly depend on working closely with others. Point number 2, resulting in an inability to perform at your level best. Point number 3, and this is and this in turn may have a negative impact on the outcome of the group project. Point number 4, you are not going to write 8 points, and you might find that on those 8 points they don't even make sense. It's possible that you can write 8 points, but at the end of the day it's up to the marker to see if your answers are relevant. If they're not relevant, you might score yourself 1 out of 8 and then you get surprised. Make sure that you follow this memorandum that I gave you on this recording, on this video. Make sure that you write the statement, you elaborate the statement, and then the qualification of the statement, and you give the outcome of the answer that you have chosen. Let's see on the evaluation on how the answers should look like when you evaluate. Next slide. Evaluate the importance of delegating as a collaborative skill in the team work. Marks should be as follows from the mark as the same as the previous one. Now on the delegate, look again. We're going to look on the statement. We are going to look for qualifying to the statement, and we give the second statement again and the qualify of the second statement. Right here, you don't have the outcome because you are evaluating. You are looking around your answers, the question, and then so that you can be able to evaluate, right? Let me read the example of the answers for you. Still, this one, it's 8 marks, and then you have 4 points on one statement. Okay? Delegating, provide advantage to both the leader and the rest of the team. Point number 1. In that it helps to manage the workload within the group. Point number 2. However, if delegating it's not done effectively or correctly. Point number 2. Point number 3. Work may be distributed to people that are not the most suitable to complete the task. That is point number 4, and then you get your 4 marks and then you get to point number 2, same applies, né? And then you get your 8 marks. Can you see how the marking it's being allocated? And this is how you're supposed to write your answer. I hope I'm making myself clear. Let's go to the next slide. How to answer questions. Learners should take different colors or highlighters into the exam room. You are allowed to do that. This will help you to highlight the key instructions that you may or you need to execute. Right? Learners generally lose marks because they know the topic but they fail to follow the instructions of the questions. Very much important. Like the previous one, the way I was showing you on how to follow, it has the guideline that you need to follow before you can be able to jot down your answers. Section B and Section C require full responses or extended writing. One answer responses or one word response are not allowed. Learner will generally lose a lot of marks if the responses are not comprehensive. Remember to write in bullet form and look at the marks allocation. If the question has the following marks allocation, 3 times 4, it means you need to write 3 responses, like 3 paragraphs. that consists of the fact and the substantiation per response. Substantiation per response. Be very cautious when you write your responses. It is best to write a fact and the substantiate or expand on the same fact before mentioning the next fact. Let's go to the next slide. Good performance in life orientation will ensure confidence in other exams. This means we have come to the end of our topic for today. This is the last push for life orientation assessment, common task for 2023. I hope you guys, after this video, you are going to be more ready and more ready, not only for life orientation and for more exams to come. Good luck, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and tell your friends about the Help Elena channel, how it can help you. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Till next time, bye.